Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the black kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!
Fox is airing New York Undercover Season 2, Episode 20, Unis. Detective Eddie Torres is informed by a snitch that cops are shaking down and murdering drug dealers.
Goddamn crooked cop, Steve. Makes me fucking sick. Also, I just can't help because I didn't watch this show. And unfortunately, before I saw New York Undercover, I saw Cheech and Chong still smoking. And in that, Cheech plays a side character called Eddie Torres, who's just, the costume is a green oversized shirt with 3 balls drawn on it. And it's Eddie Torres is E.T., the extra testicle. So instead of Eddie Torres detective on New York Undercover, I think of that all the time. So that's unfortunate. Little side note.
Thanks for sharing.
Eddie Torres, the extra testicle. Check it out. Still smoking out for years.
I mean, I've seen the movie. Anywho, White Lines is the soundtrack for this scene, and you know the cops, they're trying to crack down on these nasty drug dealers, and that Grandmaster Flash is just playing in the background. White
Ooh, ooh, white. God, this is such a good song. I used to, weirdly enough, I listened to this in like when we lived in Bowling Green. There was a Scarface soundtrack that Def Jam released. I think Scarface the rapper produced it, but this was one of the first songs on it. And I mean, higher baby, get higher baby, get higher baby, and don't ever come down free bass. I mean, it's catchy. I would have done crack cocaine, Steve, or whatever back in the day if I heard this.
Let's hope not. Let's just think that somebody talked you off the ledge.
Nah, dude, give me some.
And they're not only are they busting these perps, man, they're beating the Rodney King dog and cat shit out of these perps.
Yeah, it's these cops are going a little bit above and beyond the Call of Duty, and they get somebody like in this, it's like a New York building area where it's like surrounded by buildings. They're beating the shit out of the guy. I think they end up killing the person that they're beating the shit out of, and somebody sees it while that happens too. I don't know. Does that lady come into play? Because isn't it just like an old lady that sees it? Is it just to show that they're just like out here doing this shit and they don't give a fuck, I guess?
Yeah, I think they are just out here doing it, not giving a fuck.
But
yeah.
Don't we see immediately J.K. Simmons is there? Like he's one of these guys, right?
Yeah, he's like the main guy that they keep showing, and he's relatively known. I feel like at this point, it was this 96. He might be known as that guy that you see. You haven't figured out his name yet.
There's a lot of those guys on this episode. His buddy Terry's also one of those guys. That guy was in The Wire, The Office, all kinds of shit after this.
Not on the level of JK though.
Oh no, I mean, but still, he was in the second season of The Wire, Steve. Come on.
One of the worst seasons. The docs. Talking about the docs.
Come on, man. Give the guy his propers. He also was in The Office for an episode, but still, Terry's out there. These cops, this is the thing, Steve. This is fucking New York. These are the NYPD. There's documentaries made of this every day, so I'm not surprised.
And after that theme song hits, we come back and Torres and Williams, they're at the hospital and they're talking to one of the drug dealers that got beat up. And he was just kind of like, man, I was out cold. I didn't even see anything. They beat the living bejesus out of us. Next I know it, my girl's gone. Oh, my girl's gone? Shit, I just knew she was getting beat up on. She's dead? What?
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's who they killed for sure. And the guy was getting, like, no doubt about it, he's bruised the fuck up. It looks like he got run over by a fucking truck. And he's like he's a snitch that Torres knows. Like this is a guy he uses, so they already have like a relationship. And he's like, he tells him, I mean, they weren't crooked cops. He tells them that much. He's totally honest with them. He gives them some names, and one of the names is that Treadway dude, or is J.K. Simmons, whose name is Treadway. And but I do like JC's like, man, this guy's a fucking just drug head, dude. Fuck this guy.
I'm not gonna bust a cop over the words of a drug dealer.
Yeah, dude. Fucking fuck it. You fuck your snitch. But that guy like keeps coming. I think like they want to, I don't know if they say it here, but they want to get that guy into like witness protection, basically.
Yeah. Eddie's trying to get him out of town. And he's saying that to their boss. And I basically, what do they call is it a stipend of some sort?
Yeah, I guess if you're snitching, you get an envelope of money to go like chill. Which I mean, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, I was thinking, man, we chose the wrong profession.
I don't want to snitch, but damn, I mean, the envelope just of some bread. That's pretty cool. I'll go get an 8, get a pizza. Maybe a nice hotel. We'll chill out. It'll be fun.
At least a Motel 6.
But also the lieutenant points out something too, where she's like, "Yeah, well, this is all great that we got this name, but what are you guys gonna go undercover? It's a bunch of white cops. Like, we got to get some whiteys to infiltrate this gang because I don't think Torres and fucking JC. I don't think you guys are gonna fit in."
Pretty much, man. And so like they figure this out, and Nina, she goes up to meet with Officer Massini, and apparently back in the day they used to mess with the same dude. So they get over that, and Torres and Williams, they show up, and they're basically kind of cornering Massini, like, we need you to do this. You have to. Like, Massini, like, I'm not your person. No, you are though.
Because you're the only you're perfect because you're the only person we can think of. Okay.
In our ethnic facility, nah.
And yeah, so they blindside her, and the chick's name is Bonnie, if I'm not mistaken. And gotta say, Bonnie, hey, what's up, Charlie's Angel? She's looking sexy, and she's got a partner. Is her partner's name Queso?
Queso. It's CASO.
Okay. Yeah, Queso. White as the driven snow. And they're not like detectives. They're, I guess, beat cops. And I think Bonnie, like, Nunez is like, why, you were smarter than me when we were going through the forest. Like, why are you still doing this? And she just says that she likes doing it. Which, wonder what the pay bump is when you become a detective, Steve. You know what I'm saying?
You get to wear your street clothes.
That's cool. Business cash every day. That's pretty awesome.
But if you're Torres and Williams, you get to wear some of that Carl Kanai. Some of that polo.
Give me a cream turtleneck and some black jeans real quick.
with the herringbone chain.
Hell yeah. And then we go to a market, Steve, or something. Can you explain what's going on here? Because I was taking notes, and then I believe like we see a scene where cops are being called to like a buffet where a woman won't stop eating, like she won't go away. Is that what's going on? Like,
that part I didn't understand. I didn't know if she was like the one cop's mom, if she was the wife of the store owner. Like,
they're like, you gotta go, ma'am. And the guy that owns the place is like, she won't leave. I told her to leave. And they're like, ma'am, you can have 5 more plates. And she just, it's like, tase this fat bitch and get her out. Like, I don't know what was going on there. It was confusing.
I'm not leaving until he agrees to 17 servings. Get her fat ass out of here. She's eating me out of business.
Man,
no.
This was I got 18 more plates. You went up one, lady. But so New York's finest are being called to shit like that. But the people I think being called are Bonnie and Queso. That's why we're here. And after the fact, Bonnie starts talking to Queso, and she's like, look, we need to do this. she's like laying out what was, like this undercover thing. And I think she thinks that Queso's not like might be hesitant to do it, but I think he just was like, yeah, I'll fucking do this. Like I had some crooked cops plant some cocaine on me back in the day, so I'm not about that lifestyle. So let's fucking go in here. Let's do some internal affairs shit.
And in the next scene, we see that Torres gets the stipend uh, for Ortiz, and that's the snitch's name, Jesus Ortiz. He gets the stipend to give to Jesus so that he can get out of town. And real quick, we go to Queso, and he's getting patted down by JK and company. And he asks him, "So how ambitious are you, Queso?" Because they know he's a rookie cop. They come in with such good intentions at first.
Yeah, and they're like, because I think they're like, why would you because he asked if he can do something. They're like, why would you do that? And he's like, well, I didn't want to step on anyone's toes. He's saying all the right things, Steve.
Yeah.
It's because he's a natural police, to use wire terminology. Um, and yeah, I mean, if he was wearing a wire, that's just like if that was that easy to find a undercover cop like investigating them, that's pretty fucking shitty cop work. So salute to them for not wiring up Queso.
And he was able to talk him down, and they tell him like, look out for that partner though. She strikes me as the righteous type. He's like, no, dude, you don't understand, man. I got her. Got her. Me and her, yeah, we're doing the nasty.
I love that. Doing the nasty.
She's crazy about me. She'll do anything I tell her, anything I want.
If I was one of the crooked cops, I'd be like, doing the nasty. You're a virgin. You've never had.
That's
it's like 40-year-old. He's like, yeah, it's like when you grab a titty and it's like a bag of sand. Like, wait, what? But then Queso posts that, tells Bonnie, he's like, yeah, I did it. I got in with them. She's like, what'd you say? He's like, oh, I told her that I told him we bagged, and she's not happy about that. See, Bonnie has like a little like butch ass, she's like a little tomboy, seems like,
she doesn't like guys.
Yeah, but Queso's gonna try to wear her down, Steve.
And this is another scene. I don't know what the relevance was. Freddie Wells. They get a call up to his place, and he's got a knife up to his wife's neck. The bitch burnt up the damn lamb chop.
It's just a good old-fashioned domestic, Steve. You just had it. That's really what you see here. This is a man that been married about 15 years. Like, man, the bitch told me she ruined my dinner, man. Like, sir, it's cool. He's like, and this guy also has like the energy to his dog that Buffalo Bill had in Silence of the Lambs. Like, you go near his dog, he's like, you don't touch that dog. I'll kill your ass. So Bonnie, to just add some stress to this guy who's got a knife to his wife, she's like, oh, you're gonna kill your wife? I'm gonna blow your dog away. I'd be like, dude, what the fuck? Which it does, Steve. He lets his wife go, fuck a burnt pork chop, and she doesn't kill the dog. But yeah, it was a wild. They just like dropped you right into that. This guy's sweating, just really intense. Butter knife to the bitch's throat, I think. I mean, wild.
I don't know. Bitches be burning up lamb chops.
I mean, sometimes you just don't want to hear that shit, Steve. Me and Kendra love each other, but every once in a while, I'm not going to do this, but I mean, maybe 60 years down the road, I'm like, I done had it, bitch. I'm not watching RuPaul's Drag Race again. No!
I hope we're not foreshadowing. And check that episode of Happened in the 90s, episode 159.
He said everything, Audrey. It's on wax.
It's all there.
Kendra, I love you. It's never gonna happen. But they cuff dude. That's done. But Queso gets a call on maybe one of the first flip phones of all time. Like, it looks like a home phone, but he gets a call, and it's Treadway. So he's in, Steve.
Need you to do a favor. Do me a favor, Queso. And
I
so, yeah, go ahead.
I got a guy. I need you to get a guy. So they get that guy, Steve. Turns out, though, unfortunately, that guy is the CI that we've seen Torres working with. It's Torres's dude. And as they find this dude, Treadway shows up, takes the guy away with his boy Terry. Terry, I love Terry. Terry, his like consigliere guy, his buddy. He looks like a dirty cop, but he just looks like a child molester that's on steroids.
It's the mustache.
It is, and I, as somebody who has the same kind of mustache, I don't know if I should be pointing it out, but Terry, great friend. He's down for the fucking cause, Steve.
And I mixed up the names, man. This guy is Sammy. That's Detective Torres's guy. Jesus Ortiz, I think he was one of the rogue cops who turned or could possibly turn. But yeah, so they get a hold of Sammy. They take his money, all of it, his blow, and what is it? Massini, Bonnie, she wants to throw it away, and Queso's like, no, hold on to this shit. What are you doing?
I also like that when they're with the dude, like Sammy says something about Bonnie the cop, and Queso's like, don't you talk about her, she's fucking cool, man. And she doesn't, again, she's throwing this guy, she's like, I'm not gonna blow you, dude, like I'm not gonna touch your penis, so stop this.
This isn't a date.
But I don't know if we see what happens to Sammy or not, but later we do, because Torres, JC, and Moreno get to a crime scene, and JC's like, yo, Torres, you're not going to want to see this, because his CI's Swiss cheese the fuck up, Steve.
Yeah. And, we also see that Treadway gave them 5,000 apiece, 5,000. Wow. And once word gets back to the precinct, they're like, man, look, they got their hooks in you. There's no walking away from this now. Like, you're all in.
Like, I don't know what you're talking about. 5,000. What? I don't have. What money are you talking about? Matt, you're wearing a gold necklace that you didn't have on like yesterday. We see what's going on here. And this leads me to what I was telling you, Steve, that, I'm a nice person. I don't want people to get hurt. But if I'm Queso, and so all I have to do is look the other way and somebody hands me 5 G's, or I bust a drug dealer and on the table's like a couple racks that nobody notices, Matt's gonna dirty himself up, Steve. I'm gonna get into that dirty life real quick. I don't care, Steve.
I can't believe what I'm
Well, even Denzel Washington in Training Day probably started off good, but like they say in this episode, how much do you make? Making like they said like 28 grand a year or some shit. Like, come on.
In New York City?
Yeah. I gotta go to a Knicks game every once in a while, whatever. I gotta do something. I gotta flex. My name's Queso. I gotta get some of that cheese, baby.
See the Jets lose. And the cops, they do a little montage where they do a raid. They're making illegal gun purchases with the Jamaicans, and they have a little celebration at the end for all their troubles.
Yeah, dude. Because I think what Treadway's trying to do is pit the Jamaicans against the Dominicans.
Yeah.
It's like the Bloods and the Crips at some point. They're just trying, they're taking guns from one group, giving them to the Jamaicans. Everything's Irie, Steve. I like that Jamaicans are always like the go-to, like there's always a Jamaican gang in a movie. Predator 2, the Jamaicans were like the gang. I think Bad Boys 2, maybe it's sequels. You got to throw a Jamaican gang in there,
What was that Steven Seagal movie? Was it Hard Target?
I mean, the Hard Target was one of them, yeah.
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 Oh, yeah.
But shit's Irie, Steve. It's Bomberclat and Treadway's just making out like a bandits. you know, and I'm
He
with
even,
him.
he even rolls up on queso, just real nonchalant. Hey, I still got some of that nose candy. You got to taste. Like, dude,
Huh? Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll party, dude. Queso's just fucking. He's like Dirk Diggler and fucking Boogie Nights when he's hanging out with Todd Parker. Just like, where the fuck were you at, Treadway?
and he also has some arm candy with him. Well, Vanessa, that's her name, Vanessa Morgan. And while she's by herself, Queso he strikes up a conversation, and just to try to get some intel, unbeknownst to her, because even Treadway, he says, "Man, I hope you don't think that she's really in town to see her grandma."
And as they're in the whatever this is, it's like a dirty cop bar. It just looks like some shit like in Goodfellas, you know.
Pretty much.
That we do see that Treadway, he's looking at Bonnie a certain way too, where he's like, "Man, you could catch it too if I can get away from Vanessa." Vanessa looks like the throwaway chick on Sopranos, you know, like you fucking piece of garbage. She's like the one that just goes away screaming at one point.
I'm going
She's
to tell your
trouble.
wife about this. She's going to find out all about it.
And then we go to the streets, Steve, because JC and Torres now they know who Vanessa is, and they shake that bitch down. They got her pulling. She's dripping mascara down her cheeks. She's freaking out. But she's getting the sugar daddy treatment from Treadway. She's put up in like a nice place. But Vanessa's spilling the beans, kind of.
She doesn't give all the information. She tries to withhold because she knows that this is like a little info shakedown, man. And shortly after Torres and Williams leaves, Philpott, your boy Terry, shows up, and he put the paws on her. You could tell. And he calls up Treadway, and he's like, "Hey, man, there's a change of plans. I talk more about it when I see you in person." And so now the rest of the road cops, they're having a meeting. And while they're doing that, they're waiting on Philpott, and they hear the cop sirens. They go outside. Philpott's been arrested.
But he ain't saying shit, Steve. They got him up in. They got him locked up. They're throwing every threat they can. They're like, well, maybe we'll call internal affairs. Maybe we'll call the FBI. Maybe we'll call your mom, Philpott. But he's like, just call my lawyer, because that's who you need to talk to. But
He's not cracking.
yeah, he ain't saying shit, which I respect. Terry, he's a mensch. He's a good second in command.
In the next scene, Marino, she's dressed like a bag lady, just in disguise. And yeah, it's pretty random. And she slaps this tracker onto their car. I guess it's the car that they intended Treadway to be in.
Well, and they also she has to do this because this is the only way they can pass information, Steve. Because Treadway's everywhere. He's got eyes everywhere.
Well, yeah, it's another lady, and she is one of the fiends. Like she's a heroin addict or whatever. And shortly before Treadway and his goons show up, she's talking to Torres and Williams on one side of the building, and then so they go away. She goes around the corner, and boom, Treadway and his guy, they're right there. And they're just like, hey, so where's Ortiz? Because now they're looking for him to kill him. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about, lady. I'll have you in the can, and you'll be going through withdrawals. All right, how's that sound? Puking your guts out, shitting your pants, huh? You want that to be your life? He's up there. Right there.
Thanks. So they call fucking all the other crooked cops, Team Crooked Cop, and we cut to like a creepy New York building warehouse shit, right? And Jesus Ortiz he's right there. So he's tied to a chair. He's beat the fuck up. And Treadway's like, hey guys, we got him. We're good. Queso, I'm going to want you to shoot him in the fucking head for me. So here's a gun. He hands Queso a gun. And Queso turns the tables. He's got a gun. He's like, you're under fucking arrest, Treadway. But Treadway's got that shitty douche smile on. He's like, "You think I'd give you a fucking loaded gun, kid?" And the kid even tries to click it, Steve. He clicks it, but there's no boom. There's no click. So Treadway's always one step ahead, and it's just like, shit. That's a moment where if you pull the trigger on a gun and just hear click, the next thought in your head is just son of a bitch. Yeah, fuck.
And Treadway, he blasts Ortiz, like, enough of this talking. Bow. And Queso, like, while this is going on, he points the gun at Bonnie, and Queso kicks the gun out of his hand. And then shortly after that, Torres and Williams, they make it there, and now we have a shootout.
Crooked cops versus good cops. Shirts versus skins, Steve.
Shirts versus blouses.
And we're in like this crazy warehouse. There's ricochets everywhere. People are running. Bonnie gets to Treadway at some point. And, I like Treadway too because he is a good classic villain in that his villainous speeches and explanations just go on too long because that's what gets him in trouble here. He blasts the fucking guy and he could be gone, but he's like, and then this, and then the lasers come. It's like, dude, just stop.
Just shoot him already.
Yeah, fuck. But, I mean, what do you think is going to happen here, Steve? JC, Torres, even now Bonnie. Does Bonnie and Queso, are they on the squad now, do you think? Like, because they're good cops, they add some to this team.
Yeah, they're one and done. We don't see them after this episode. But, it's Torres and Williams. They always get their guy or gal. Yeah, and in this case, they got their cop, their rogue cop, man, all of them. And in the final scene, we see that they're losing their badges. And their boss, their sergeant, he's like, you'll be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
And Bonnie and Queso get some kudos from, I guess, the captain. There's like a dude boss, and then the lieutenant who's like their main boss. So they get some kudos. And I do have to say, it seems like at the end, like Bonnie might, throw Queso an HJ at least. Seems to be warming up to old boy a little bit, Steve.
I think that's where it'll stop. Just HJ. Them softball practices got her all rough and bothered. I bet you can give a rugged one though, man. And like we cap it off with a Love of Your Own performance by the Barrio Boys. Oh, love of your own.
Dude, if you don't get laid going to this bar though, might be the most panty dropping bar in television history, Steve. Every week we see it. There's just some soul song just being just live. That's great. The drinks look great. There's people in turtlenecks just chilling next to neon lights. It seems awesome. I love it.
Top-notch stars, man. If it's not Mary J. Blige or James Brown, I'll be sure, man. Top of the line. And
JC and Torres are sharing a drink. And JC asks Torres, he's like, did you ever get tempted? And, it's not very big, but Torres is like, yeah, first week, some guy offered me $100 just to let him out of a ticket. And again, dirty cop mad. I'm taking the $100, Steve. The city don't need this.
And then a little girl is ran over by a drunk driver later that night.
Well, I'm not a good cop, Steve, but Torres is, and he didn't take that 100, so he was meant to do this.
Yeah, and you are not, my friend.
Until then, remember, from the keeper of the Sizzle Kiss, if it's LA, it's Rhonda. Up all night.